Hello, my name's Laura, and as you can probably tell from my weird accent, I'm from Scotland. I'm going to be giving you a little bit of a sneak peek into Scotland and just giving you some facts and some interesting photos. I will be down at the bottom as you can see me right now, but I'll just hide myself so that you can just hear me and not have to see my face. Okay, so I was going to start with giving yourself a little bit of background about myself. So I'm from Scotland, as I previously said, which is north of England and part of the United Kingdom. As you can see highlighted in the red here, this is Scotland, it's the mainland Scotland, and then the outer islands and Shetlands and Orkney. So I am from Glasgow. I was born and raised in Glasgow, which is Scotland's biggest city. So we're the shopping city, the fashion city, the music city. We're also the industrial city, which is renowned for shipbuilding, which is what you can see in this photo here. The crane in the background is one of the original cranes from Scotland's heyday in shipbuilding. What you can see in front of it is a bridge called the Squinty Bridge, and we call it the Squinty Bridge because we're very weird in Scotland. Now, I haven't spent all of my life in Glasgow. I did spend 4 years of my life studying in Edinburgh, the University of Edinburgh, which is the capital city in Scotland. Edinburgh is more of a historic and scenic city, and what you can see here is the medical school in Edinburgh, which is the oldest university in the United Kingdom that taught medicine. So going on a little bit more about Scotland, so we are a part of the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom consists of England, Wales, Northern Ireland and Scotland. And what you can see here is the Scottish flag, the English flag, the Northern Irish flag and the Welsh flag, which all comes together to make the British flag that you can see with all the blue, the red and the white. So zooming in Scotland, we have three main sections of Scotland. We have the central belt of Scotland, which holds the big cities of Glasgow, Edinburgh and Stirling. We're on the border and we're quite close to England. Then we have the Highlands. This is vast land which is barely occupied. It has a lot of history in there and there's some really beautiful spots in most of Scotland. And then you have the islands of Scotland, which you can see here in yellow. There's over 790 islands in Scotland. Quite a lot of them are unoccupied, but the ones that are have their own little niche and little communities. So especially like Orkney and Shetland, where the Vikings, when they came across from Scandinavia, took over most of the yellow and also the red. And what has happened is they've created a Scandinavian influence in Scotland. So there's a lot of surnames that have got a Scandinavian influence, like my own surname. My surname is Anderson. So that comes from the son of Ander rather than the Scottish version, which would be MacAndrew, which comes from son of Andrew in Gaelic. So Scotland is one of the perfect places to go for history and for scenery. I myself take quite a lot of photos for someone who lives here. Fortunately for yourself though, none of the photos you're going to see today are mine because I'm not that good at taking photos. Now I was thinking we could start off with the Central Belt, which is the most populated part of Scotland, and we're starting off with our capital city of Edinburgh. So Edinburgh is also the city that holds the Scottish Parliament, which you can see here with a lovely pond in front of it. It also holds Holyrood Palace, which is right next door to the Scottish Parliament and is also the home of the Queen when she comes to visit Scotland. Just up the main street, which is called the Royal Mile, you then get to Edinburgh Castle, which is the main focal point of Edinburgh. The Edinburgh is built around its castle, so the castle is actually right next door to busy streets and lots of shops. So the castle itself is built on a castle rock, which is an extinct volcano that is 700 million years old and people have been living there for a while, and it's been used as a royal residence since the 12th century. So Edinburgh is filled with history compared to her sister city of Glasgow. Glasgow, however, doesn't have a castle, but it does have its own little life to it. It has earned a name for being the cooler sister of Edinburgh, which I would very much say is true. But Glasgow does have its own history as well as in its museums. So this is the Kelvingrove Art Gallery Museum, and it's an absolutely beautiful building, and it's been built in its red sandstone, which is a traditional sandstone used within Glasgow. We also have lots of universities in Glasgow, which are seen to be like Hogwarts, especially like the University of Glasgow, which is what J.K. Rowling was meant to have used, supposedly, for getting some inspiration for Hogwarts. Going on, one of my favourite things in Glasgow is the Duke of Wellington statue. I know it doesn't look that special and he does definitely need a little bit of a scruffing up, but the people of Glasgow are very strange folks, so this statue always has a traffic cone on his head. Always. I've never seen it without a traffic cone. It always has at least one or two traffic cones, sometimes three, sometimes up to nine, as recently seen. And I don't think they're ever going to get rid of the traffic cones. It's not meaning disrespect anyways. It's just been like that for as long as I can remember, and I don't think they're ever going to truly be able to get the traffic cones off it. The central belt isn't just Glasgow and Edinburgh, it also holds cities like Stirling. And Stirling has a castle, which you can see here. It's up on a cliffside and it's a little bit further away. It's different to Edinburgh in the fact that the city was built away from the castle rather than surrounding it. Within Stirling as well, you have the William Wallace Monument. So you might know that name if you know Braveheart. And Braveheart is a very popular film and is all about the wars of independence against England, and it's a very patriotic film within Scotland, and a lot of people love the film. So there's quite a lot in the Central Belt that I haven't been able to show you, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of a taste. So before I go on to the Highlands and Islands of Scotland, just so you can see those as well. So the Highlands and Islands of Scotland are filled with so much beauty, it's unreal at times. I just wanted to give you a little bit of a peek at that beauty and point out some of the interesting and spectacular places there. So the first one is the Old Man of Storr on the Isle of Skye. I don't really know why it's called that. The hill is called Storr Hill. I don't know why it's an old man. Maybe it's just the way that it looks wrinkled on the rocks. So you might recognise this place. This is a railway line for the Jacobite Express that cuts through Fort William to Mallaig. It's also the railway line for the Hogwarts Express. You can actually get on the Hogwarts Express and go from Fort William to Mallaig and travel along the same way that Ron and Harry and Hermione would have done in the films. So some of the other things that we have in the Highlands and Isles of Scotland that are more magical, I would say, are things like the fairy pools of Skye. So these have got a sort of legends behind them. They're very much related to the fairies in Scotland. They're very much related to skelpies and kelpies, which are like mythical creatures that we have in Scotland. Are very much fond of our legends and our stories. So one of the other things that we have that links in with magic and mythical things is would also be our standing stones. So there's standing stones throughout Scotland, particularly in the islands. These ones are in the Isle of Lewis. Some people are a little bit confused about what they could be for. Some people think they're for a celebration of the solstice. Other ones think that it could be a celebration of life or even a celebration of death. But some people think it could maybe be a little bit more magical, like how they explained in Brave, which I think you guys are going to be watching later on today. There's so much more to Scotland than I could cover in such a wee presentation. We just have so much stuff within such a small country. We have a lot of stuff. One of the things we have is we have lots of castles. This is another castle I didn't show you. It's the Eagledoon Castle, which is in the middle of a loch, and it's been owned by one family for multiple generations. Another thing we have in Scotland is tartan. There's lots of tartans. They all link in with different clans and different families, and lots of clans will have multiple types of tartans, such as myself, who has the old tartan and a new tartan. Another thing that we have in Scotland is different forms of dancing. We have the Highland dancing that you can see here, but we also have Ceilidh dancing, which is a form of dancing that you do when you're celebrating things like New Year's and also weddings. Another thing that you'll find in Scottish weddings and also in New Year's in Scotland is bagpipes. Bagpipes are very much a annoying thing within Scotland. There is a love-hate relationship with bagpipes. Some people really love them, and I love hearing them at certain times. That time will not be 10 o'clock in the morning when I'm trying to get to uni. Another thing, one of my favourite things in Scotland is our fluffy Highland coos. And they strut around the Highlands and they're just very fluffy and I love them very much. And the final thing I didn't get to mention about Scotland is our other national drink, other than whiskey, is Iron Brew. And Iron Brew is a very fizzy drink that you would say tastes like bubble gum. That's what some people have said. I would have sent some across, but unfortunately it is illegal in the United States because of the additives that are in it. And I just want to say thank you for listening. I hope you got a little bit out of this, even just a little bit of a sneak peek at Scotland, and you've enjoyed yourself today. I know that you're going to be either watching Brave or you've already watched it, but it's a lovely film. It's one of my favourite films. So I hope you enjoy that and you have a lovely day, and I shall speak at you soon. Bye bye.